Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, hey, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Focus on Liberia live on Kia Radio 95.9, broadcasting right here from Atlanta, Georgia, also in Monrovia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting live. With me, I have FOL host on the Hour of Politics, Mr. Anthony Sia. Mr. Sia, welcome to the show.
Dennis, it's good to be here. Let's do this.
Right, and we have some issues that we're going to be talking about. First is the post-Supreme Court rulings. Ever since the Supreme Court ruled in the Bill of Information that was filed by Funati Kufa, the Speaker Funati Kufa, there has been mixed reaction. First, the president responded, said, well, I will only work with quorum. Even if they are illegal, I want to add, I will work with people that have more, right? So we're going to talk about that. Since then, there have been a lot of reactions. The Liberia National Bar Association reacted, and there was a split. Some people say, it's not all of us. We also see movement from one side of the aisle, either minority to majority or vice versa. We also see that political leaders, opposition lead parties met and say, hey, we are, this is our position in the case. So there are a lot of moving pieces. We're going to talk about that. Also, the EPS say if you are involved in insurgency, if you are issuing threats, they are going to withdraw the EPS support. Even though you are VIP, they're not going to protect you. Do they have the right to do that? Is it the president? Is it the EPS or head? Who and why? We're going to look into that. Also, post-Nimba County by-elections, the elections in Nimba senatorial by-elections are now over. And what next? We first want to really say, what will Madam Ide Gonglo do next? And also, what are the implications for 2029? Last but not the least, the University of Liberia reacted to the Dorr Kufa fraud case and also protests on the University of Liberia campus. Mr. Sia, that's what on the menu. But what I want us to start with yesterday was called Ibrahim Traore Day. People were standing in solidarity with Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso. Right? It said this is against what they call the imperialist threat against his life. So, Liberia yesterday didn't do it. Today, people came out and the Ministry of Justice said, you can't do this. Before you protest or before you get out there, we have to authorize you. Mr. Tia, let's talk about Ibrahim Traore. Why people across the world, especially Black people, standing up for Traore, and why Liberia is staying back?
Dennis, I would like to say Africans are standing up for him. I know you mentioned the word black. Black is synonymous to Africa, so I think you are point on there. Look, the continent of Africa has been lacking behind when it comes to development. And one of all the many reasons we can point to is the lack of progressive leadership. And further, that is development has been lacking in most African countries in a very significant way. And so to see Tuareg coming to power through means of military takeover, and we continue to yet see progressive, development activities taking place in Burkina Faso. And the main factor that he is young. The experts continue to tell us that the population of the continent of Africa registered the, if not the most, then one of the most, youngest population, of the continents in the world. And so Tuareg, he fits within that demographic. Young Africans on the continent of Africa who are hungry for development, who want to see good roads, who want to see good airports, who want to get a jobs. They need access to opportunities, and these opportunities are lacking very chronically in most African countries. As a result, what young people are doing, they are crossing the Mediterranean. Some of them are dying at sea in search for greener pasture. Dennis, I'm here today for the same reason. When our leaders could create those opportunities in our motherland, but those opportunities have not come to our doorsteps in a way we would like because of poor leadership, because of corruption. And so to see Tuareg demonstrating that progressive leadership and also taking the fight to the Westerners in a political way, I think it appeals to a group of Africans, especially young Africans, and they say, we're going to stand up for this guy. And I'm reading some of the material. They say, look, we have to protect our heroes. We never protected Sankara. We never protected this person. And some of them even went far. We never protected Gaddafi. So this time, we're going to stay in solidarity with him. He's doing the right thing. He has an African agenda. Pan-Africanism is on his mind. We got to be self-reliant, as African, and they see Tuareg as a perfect embodiment of all of the things that young African in particular, actually want to see in Africa. I think that's what's happening here. This is like a revolution, Dennis.
And they are standing up because they say, well, other African presidents, revolutionary, have died. We look at Patrice Lumumba, if we look at the installation of Mobutu Sese Seko after Patrice Lumumba was assassinated. We also see how Kwame Nkrumah was disposed. We saw the death of Thomas Sankara, which was even Liberians participated in that. And they were always being an invisible hand behind these murders. So this time they said the same threats, Traore is facing the same threats, right? First, let's start with economics, because economics, everything is the economy, right? Mm-hmm. So if the man is stopping the eating of the West, when I was in Ghana studying agriculture on the camp, we went to their farms, right? Mm-hmm. And you have all the bananas that are meant for the Western market, but because you don't have the required amount according to them for you to sell to the global market, so there is a middle person. So you sell to that person, so that person gets bananas from, let's say, Ghana, from Togo, from Benin, put it together, meet that threshold before he or she can sell to the world market, right? So we always have that. The same thing in Benin about their natural resources always being controlled. So now Traore is coming and say we can do this, right? In fact, we are not going to take loans from the IMF, from the World Bank, because these groups have never developed anywhere. So let's do this ourselves. And those who normally benefit from the robbery that is carried on in Africa say we can let this happen. So we got to get rid of this man. So Africans are coming up and standing up to say we will protect him. Before you get him, you should get us. But sad to say, when it comes to Liberia, why other because this is a global demonstration. It's not just for Africans; it's global, right? But it is not happening in Liberia. And the justice minister came up to say, you can't demonstrate, you can't do anything unless you get the paper. And let me read a few lines, which I thought was funny, right? It said on May 1, this is the Justice Ministry release, several persons displaying the Liberian flag and a banner showing a photograph of Captain Ibrahim Touré, military leader of Burkina Faso, took to the streets of Monrovia, where they apparently marched in solidarity with the leader from that African country. And listen to this. For reason best known to them. Do you think the Justice Ministry does not know the reason why these people are demonstrating? Let me welcome Mr. A. Bwaka Duclos joining us from Canada, and our man, the Reverend Jesse Krumah. Welcome, Jesse.
Welcome, Jesse. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Oh. Who's giving that feedback? Jesse is
giving us feedback.
Jesse, if you are using.
No, I said it's Mr. Duclos who's giving that feedback.
Yeah, it's not me.
Mr. Duclos, we are getting feedback from you. You're probably on the speaker. That's why we are getting the feedback, Mr. Duclos. So adjust. If we'll get that. No. Mr. Duclos, please fix that. So Jesse, let's talk about Ibrahim Traoré and the solidarity, and now Liberia is not participating. What you think Liberia is up to, or is it justified that before you demonstrate, if you need a permit, you don't have the permit, you can't do it?
Yeah, obviously, before you demonstrate, you will need some kind of permit, right? By the way, let me say good evening to your listeners and viewers as well, my fellow panelists here. Before you demonstrate, you need some kind of permit for security's sake. And with Liberia's stance, I mean, I haven't followed the story to its fullness, but you need permits. And Liberia, you know, if we are going to participate in it, I don't know as to what extent that we've involved ourselves in it. And I'm still gathering information, but Burkina Faso is a country to actually for all African countries and leaders to watch and learn from, you know. But let me listen to my fellow panelists on this whole topic. I haven't gathered much information on that yet. Yeah,
Mr. Douglas, let's test the mic again.
Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2.
Is this still echo? There's still echo.
Ask him if he's using. Okay, there you go. If he's using this, I don't know if you guys.
We got to do all those before the show. We're in the show. We can go back.
Yeah.
All right. So Mr. C, let's talk about Liberia's participation. You know, should organizers should they have sought the proper approval before doing this?
Then that is what the Ministry of Justice requires, according to their communication. The press release they put out there in which they issue warnings to those who will want to gather or have a protest without obtaining a permit. Is anyone required or is it required constitutionally to obtain a permit before you protest? No. Even their press statement acknowledged that while it is true that it is your constitutional right to assemble at all time, but you must seek permit. And they said, according to their statement, the reason that you need permit so that the state security can provide guardians and security for you as you protest. Because during some of the protest events, others who are not protesting can be inconvenient, so that maybe there can be some arrangement. Where do you intend to carry on your protest? So that maybe they can inform other citizens using that right or that space or that place, to be aware that there's protests and maybe they can use alternative routes. That is what the government is saying. I have organized protests. I have participated in protests. All of the protests that I was a organizing member. Yes, we obtained permits and we carry on the protest. So I can't sit here and say no. They really don't need a permit for security reason. In as much as your intentions are good, you have a good cause, it is your right. Obtaining the permit from the authorities, it shouldn't be any issue. But at the same time, any person will have a right to say, no, I don't need permits. My constitution does not tell me that I need a permit. That person can make that argument. But if your intention, like I said, is good, and you want, for you to get the necessary security so that either your protest cannot be, obstructed, you can seek permit. Either way one does it, I'm okay with it. But if I were organizing a protest, I would want to seek permit. And there might be some instances I might not seek permit. Why, if I want to do a one-man protest, I'm not going to seek permit to do that. But if I'm bringing a group of people out and maybe we're going to inconvenience, maybe I can negotiate with state authority to say, look, I need this route. So you can inform your citizen that a group will be using this route for, protestation. I will want to seek permit to do so.
And permit indeed. But let's look at the tune of the Liberian government. First of all, Liberians are talking about Ibrahim Traore or Ibrahim Toure everywhere. And this man is doing some wonderful things in Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
But he came to power as a result of a coup d'etat, right? So if he gets such prominence in Liberia, Jesse, let me come to you.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that threaten or give signal that indeed coup d'etat is the way to go? Because if we are not getting the kind of change that we need through elections, indeed coup d'etat will be a better route. And so in order to discourage that, Liberia, the sitting government may not want to give the Burkina Faso president that prominence. Does that make sense to you?
Well, it makes sense, Brother John. Let me just say this. First of all, I wouldn't want to encourage not even Liberia right now to think of any kind of coup, regardless of the situation that's going on in Liberia, because we've had our dark past, right? So coup right now for me wouldn't be advisable. And I think what Brother Toure is doing or has been able to do to re-governize all of Africa around him. What happened then that he was able to succeed in plotting his coup and having all of the different support that is coming to him now? I think that situation is far different as far as what's happening now in Liberia. I think Liberia's issue is just the leader that can, Liberia, we don't need coup right now, really. And while Ibrahim Traore is doing good, and I mean, I myself personally, I really admire the young man for what he's doing, what he's been able to do. I mean, massively, overwhelmingly, even all of Europe, people are not protesting but supporting. But Liberia's situation for me, I think, is a little different. And
what I'm saying, what my question is, is the government afraid that if Traore gets popular in Liberia, there will be some copycat event?
Oh, definitely. There's a reason to be concerned as far as Liberia. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if you ask me, I would think Liberia is true. They're being cautious because, again, look at the support that's given to this young man. Now with the kind of unrest that's in our country, I think the government has every right to say, with the kind of support that's given,
So really, it's out of fear, not about permit. The issue may not be permit, it's just fear.
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so. Some kind of I would think so.
Mr. Duque, I don't think you're.
Yeah, we are still having.
Mr. Duque, if you are sorry. Maybe we have to change. You have to change your
device.
Duque,
you can restart your device and see. Maybe you're correct. Whatever is causing the problem. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Mr. Steele, let's conclude on this question of coup d'etat, because the way they worded their statement, for whatever reason, they have a photograph of it. I mean, this is public knowledge. People are saying, hey, we are standing up, we are standing with this guy because he's doing wonderful things in Burkina Faso. and the West want to eliminate him. Now there's another thing about this fear of, and I saw the comment which from one of our viewers saying, "Hey, we are our thing with protest." Come on now. They said because a woman died at childbirth, will we stop sleeping with our wives?
Look, then I don't know what the government fear is. Definitely the government is acting based on fear here. That this guy is a military guy who came to power, obtained political power through military means, and he's not only being celebrated in his country, this man is being celebrated in Africa. So if we are to allow Liberian citizens to celebrate this man, there is the belief now that, well, maybe the military means of taking power is not that bad. And so if one were to float the idea of a military takeover in Liberia, the citizens will welcome it because they've seen Tuareg who got to power through military means and is doing what others see as wonders, all right? And so they are like, no, we shouldn't encourage this kind of thing because it might lead to something else, and this is something that we don't want. And, you know, when people are in power, they are afraid for power to be taken away from them. Now, you know, we have we have military in Liberia. We have military in Liberia, and Tuareg is a military man who took over power. And so if they see the citizens, you know, celebrating another citizen, of another country, you know, in Liberia, men say, oh, okay, this is not bad. Our people, if we should use the Tuareg example here, or the Tuareg mentor of getting state power, I think we will be welcomed by our people because they are celebrating Tuareg. So I think it's a legitimate fear. The statement sound like they are warning people that they will prosecute people. That is one of the words I heard, that they will prosecute people. Say, well, yep. So this government knows about prosecuting people. Do you know how many persons you should be prosecuting? You have not prosecuted, and now you're talking about people who want to assemble to stand in solidarity with somebody, you know, who is their African brother, who's trying to do something to improve conditions in Burkina Faso, another African country. Those are the people you want to prosecute.
Thank you. And join us. One second. Join us tomorrow. This whole concept of coup d'etat, the Burkina Faso experience, we want to talk about that a little bit more on our Friday night debate. You know, people are, and we are not, first, let us categorically state that we are not saying that there should be coup. We are not saying promoting coup d'etat, but that's something to talk about. Why is this young man who came through coup is being celebrated? Will that make people to look that way, say, maybe the democratic process is not giving us the needed results. We need to try something else. That's kind of fearful based on where we came from since 1980. Mm-hmm. But it's worth exploring. Let me get your final take on this, Jesse, and then we'll move on.
Like Brother Anthony just said, right? Look, Brother Ja, the government has every right now to be concerned or be fearful. But this is my thing. If the government was to be doing right by the people, then there will be no need for fear at this time. There will be no need for the kind of concern that you're showing. So that just speaks to the fact that Liberia right now, the government is still struggling. And anybody, right? And if you look at the military right now, our military right now, look, Brother Ja, I have few, not to name, I have few people that are part of the AFL. If I tell you, when I speak to them on one-on-one, they usually tell me, Jesse, my man, if anything happens, I'm just going to bury my gun and go sit down somewhere. So even as sad as that is, right, the government needs to start doing right by the people and then get rid of all this kind of fear that's going on. But Brother Tuareg, what he's doing in his country, this guy has rallied not just the people of Burkina Faso, but the whole entire world. This kid is, I mean, he has so much momentum going his way. So Liberia right now, you know, there's a fear, but then do right by the people, and you have no reason to, you know, to be panicking all over the place. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Dugley. Your audio is okay now. So You be the, just for 1 minute. Let me get your take on the solidarity with Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso.
Yeah, I read the memo that went out, and I don't know if it was a typo or because the government also said in that memo that they actually approve of the demonstration, even though they said that the motives is best known to them, which I thought it was pretty contradicting. But nevertheless, Mr. Dennis, this thing it should be concerning to the Liberian government for a very simple reason. Look, despite all what we have said we have done in Liberia, our country is still fragile. And so that fragility is one that must get the government concerned because, look, what Ibrahim Traore has done in the last few years, a year and a half that he's been in power, what he has done, what he has achieved, and the trajectory of where he's heading is all very promising. And the people are actually living the fruits of his labor. I mean, they can see it, they can feel it. As a matter of fact, that there's a road project that he undertook, and this road project it has been in the making for the last 30 years. And suddenly, in less than 2 years, Abraham is almost halfway done with his road. So people can see the tangible outcome of what he's doing. And so, because our nation is a fragile nation, despite all what we talk about democracy and not, when the people feel their needs are not being met, all the rhetoric you see on the paper, on the news, it means nothing on the ground. And so that could be, like you said, copycat. Somebody, and I don't even think this is going to be, if anything, it's not going to be something like the military is going to take over. No, it's the people themselves are going to riot against that government, telling them, you see what is happening in Burkina Faso, why can't you do the same thing here? It's something like that. So, and for a very good reason, Mr. Ja. So, I mean, I wouldn't be sitting quiet or calm when something like this is happening. And by the way, there was also demonstration in other countries, even as far as in Europe, in some places where people demonstrated for this guy, simply because, like I said, people see what he's done. I mean, personally, I don't like the manner in which he came to power, but what he has done, he has demonstrated that African countries can be independent by the meaning of that word, total independent, because Burkina Faso is one of the countries that produce gold in the region. And what they were getting in return for their gold when the French people were in charge, they've come to realize that they were being ripped off. And so he's tried to reverse that. And now he's on a course where the Burkina themselves will be able to do some of the work of the gold in Burkina Faso before exporting them outside their country. So there are a lot of things that he has done, and the people are feeling what he's doing. That's why, and we know from what that have been broadcast so far that there are some European nations who are implicated in attempted murder. I don't know how true it is. I saw somebody confessing, and I don't know. I can't tell the veracity of that confession, but you can see the outpour of support, the concern people were expressing. And this is not any different from what we saw in the 80s when Thomas Sankara was in charge of Burkina Faso. And we saw what happened to Thomas Sankara. One of his closest friends was bought by the French people, and he carried on their agenda. And we all saw what happened.
Thank you. I remember when the funeral of Albert Port, people are going to bury Albert Port, and that turned into riot.
Yes.
Or protest. Albert Port re-election. So it is very possible that when this Traore solidarity protest is allowed, people may start demanding that the same reform they see in Burkina Faso come to Liberia, and they take this at the feet of the current government. So I think they have reason to be jittery.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's always one thing leading to another,
Yeah, and for the sake of what some of the things Traore done, they say the first gold refinery in Burkina Faso, nationalization of gold mines, the construction of the first tomato processing plant, launch of the postal bank of Burkina Faso,
Yes.
banning colonial era wigs and judges, or expulsion of French troops, support for agriculture, expansion of the Bobo Dioulasso Airport, the establishment
Yes.
of National Support Center for Artisanal Cotton Processing, and so on, in just 2 years.
And then it's so even more when the French were leaving, just exactly what they did in Guinea in the 1950s when they were leaving. Their machinery that they couldn't carry, instead of giving them away, they actually destroy them
Yeah.
because they can't take them away and they don't want the Burkinabés to make use of them. They destroy them. And so, and one of the things that he has also concentrated on then is that the feeder roads in the country. He has invested a lot in the feeder roads where the farmers can get their produce to the market. I mean, this guy is very, very progressive in what he's doing. And like I said, people are actually seeing the result of, and they are actually a part of the process. So, and that's the only thing that any government needs, where the people can relate to what you're doing for them.
And that he's doing it not alone from World Bank, not alone from Africa or IMF, but from money right there in Burkina Faso. That is just amazing. It's like, I mean, I was thinking of even sending our reporter, our West African correspondent to Burkina Faso and say, go and see, is this really true? Is this happening? Go and touch it. But if we have resources, we're going to send our reporter live in Ouagadougou to report from there. Well, that takes us to our post Supreme Court ruling on the House speakership. Well, gentlemen, as you may know, since that ruling, there have been all kinds of things happening. We see movement. There were rumors that Funati is going to resign. Oh, Funati, this person is bribing this person. Or the Liberia National Bar Association. You see people moving. I saw a session of the so-called majority bloc, and on and on and on and on. People are leaving the minority, going to the majority, and so on and so forth. I mean, they're just too much. Pick any one of them. I want to hear your take on all these things that are happening. And really, where is the leadership? Where is this all going to lead us? When is this going to end? What is going to happen at the end of it all? And with all this going on, how do we even track the process, the progress of our lawmakers? What are they doing now? Mr. Seal, let me start with you.
Dennis, thank you. This is an issue that has gotten our country to a political kind of stagnating point. And we just evolving around this thing for about 6 months and counting now. It is a serious issue. It's costing us a lot. We're just talking about Tuareg making progress, but then here we are in 6 months' time. We are trying to see who is actually our speaker. Why is this happening? This is happening because the president of Liberia, President Bouaka, decided that having a speaker from his party is best for his political success. And so if you look at the history, the attempt to remove Franti was initiated at the time the president had traveled with Franti to Rome. And that's when it started at. Now, prior to that, there was an election in which Rachel Kuhn contested. Then it's good to historicize it for people to understand the whole thing yet.
Yeah.
Rachel Kuhn contested, and Rachel Kuhn was the choice of the president. That's his political right. I mean, if I were president, for me, it won't matter, but if I make a decision to support an individual, so Rachel Kuhn was his choice for speaker. Our understanding is that the president did not only support Rachel Kuhn by mouth, he put his resources behind him. He put a political capital on the line. Rachel Kuhn was defeated. And so from the get-go, this is a president who has a choice of speaker and did not get it. And so he has a reason why. And so he continued to pursue that reason. So when the democratic process did not work, they tried to use the backdoor channel. And the president has a history of being good at this. When he tried to remove you through maybe other means, if he can, he will suspend you and then he will replace you. That's how the president has been operating. And so fast forward, This thing has been going on. Franti was not removed as required by the Constitution, and they needed 49 votes to do so. And the president said, well, this side has quorum, and so I'm going to support that side, irrespective of a unanimous, and let me not use the word unanimous, a definitive ruling that is clear, all right, from the Supreme Court. The president said, I will deal with the side that has quorum. And so at some point, I think over about 2 months or so, the majority bloc was kept in a hotel. Report had it that group, the Rachel Kuhn group, supported by the president, they were the executive branch of government were responsible for the cause of them being at a hotel at the time. So the short of the long is that the president has long since been wanting a speaker from his party, someone of his choice, to be the speaker, and that has not happened. That is the reason, despite the decision from the Supreme Court, the president is saying he's going with the side that has quorum. I guarantee you, if Kufa were the side that had a quorum, there will be a whole different situation.
You're muted. Unmute, Berja.
Dennis, you are muted.
Just say what do you see that we are going with this?
So,
right?
so-
Is the stalemate? You know, I remember I was in I think 7th grade or 6th grade when this guy came to our town and said, if you have a situation where it's not raining, the sun not shining, that the terminology. I mean, if you're inside where you don't know terminology, I sorry for you. So he said that condition is hickledy pickledy.
but
So, so right now so right now the whole house is in a hickledy pickledy situation.
But look, yeah, look, from the onset, from the beginning of this whole speaker thing, right? I said if the president wanted this whole thing to die down yesterday, it would have happened, right? But for me personally, there's nothing wrong in having a speaker from your party, but let it be done the right way. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Let it be done the right way. Look, after the Supreme Court, the highest office of our law, because our first complaint was the interpretation, which people were interpreting all over left, right, center. They came back with a final ruling, a more clearer ruling, right? For our president to come up and say, look, I understand the Supreme Court's ruling, but this is the side I'm taking. What message are you sending to the people, the rest of us? I'm just going to do me because I'm the president. I have the bullet pulpit here. First, it became the number issue. But gradually, now it's not even anymore about the numbers now because, look, Fanati still remains the legitimate speaker of the House. What precedence is our president setting is totally against the rule of law. We have 3 equal branches, Mr. President. You know, I will feel after the first ruling, after the second ruling, after the whole statement has been cleared by the judiciary, by the court, reinstate Honorable Fanati rights back, give him his rights. Let him come back in the House and recuse himself and let everything go on. But as per what is going on now, I think from what I've been hearing, I think all sides are beginning to see reasons to amend things, right? They are trying to fix things now. But is it too late? No, I think, you know, I'm seeing a light at the end of the tunnel here. But Mr. President, for me, my opinion has not been able to set the example to be a law-abiding citizen. I haven't seen that yet from him. And it's, for me, it's too concerning now, you know. I think the president...
The president left it open, right? He said the group that has quorum. So assuming Kufa has quorum today, he's going to work with Kufa. Is that your reading also?
Well, but Mr. Jai, so tomorrow somebody else can come up with 49 people and then that's what we go with quorum? Because he who has most number, you have the quorum. So our president is saying because he said he will work with who has quorum. I will agree. Tomorrow is if Fonati has the forum, then I expect the president to deal with him. So if Yake Koluba comes up tomorrow and say, okay, I'm being able to rally 49 people here, does that mean he has the legitimate quorum for everybody else to sit there? What's the example?
Thank you.
You see?
Mr. Ducle, the Liberia National Bar Association came kind of say, hey, Supreme Court, where are you going with this? And then there's another group said, no, it's not all of us. In fact, the Monserrato County Bar Association with former Justice Philip Banks,
Philip Banks.
yeah, and Per Brown Boo and all these veteran lawyers, they say, hey, we're not on your side. In fact, you didn't consult us.
Yeah, and again, this is just one more example that is to show to you that we are a nation that don't follow its own law. And you know, Joseph Walker, since this whole thing started, Joseph Walker was speaking with both sides of his mouth. On the one hand, he says he's for the rule of law, and yet he says on the other hand, he is going to deal with the party that has the quorum. Now, what kind of an ambiguous statement is that? How is that supposed to be understood to be following the Supreme Court ruling? But then don't forget, we are dealing with a government that has a history of not following or obeying the ruling of the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the land. They have a documented history where the court ruled and they flagrantly refused to accept the ruling. And so, especially when the ruling is not in their favor, or if the ruling is not what they wanted, I can tell you two recent cases where the Supreme Court ruled and the government of the day flagrantly ignored that ruling and they did whatever it is that they wanted to do. If you remember, when Nancy B. Doe took them to court for her benefits, whatever it was, and the court ruled in her favor. As of today, nothing of that ruling has been implemented. And second is what happened with the illegal removal of Justice Cabinet Janier from the Supreme Court, the flagrant violation of the Liberian law by George Weah and his government. And it was also ruled in his favor. And the case went as far as to the ECOWAS court, and yet the Liberian government did absolutely nothing about it. So I don't expect anything to change in this particular situation, even though Kufa is the legitimate Speaker of the House. The court has come in an unambiguous ruling. They have already established that. And now you have the Liberia National Bar Association, and there are other partners, some of them trying to backpedal, simply because the ruling is now what they want, simply because they don't like the ruling. And in politics, particularly when it comes to the law, sometimes you don't have to like the ruling to accept it. It's about you setting a good precedent. It's about you setting good example for others to follow. So even though Kuhn was their choice of speaker, but he did not win, and so he doesn't have the legitimate path to that position. Why in the world should the United Party government support him just because he is a partisan? It shouldn't be like that. So what kind of signal does this send to people out there? They want to be politicians. And I can say this, I have said it here before, at the end of this all, Kufa is not going to be the Speaker of the House of Representatives. But I think in this particular instance, he should have been given his right that was established by the Supreme Court of Liberia.
Mr. Duclo, you said the illegal removal of Justice Kabina Jane. I think you misspoke, because Kabina Jane was impeached through the process that is established, because impeachment is a political process. So you could say there was some backdoor interfering, but actually the process was legal.
I think legally speaking, I misspoke in legal terms, but the entire process was not proper, and despite and the Supreme Court did establish that the process through which he was removed was not proper, and so again, that's another example where they do not follow the ruling of the highest court in the land. So again, a country, a nation that do not follow its own laws, what do you expect? You only follow, you only obey or implement what you like, and you don't do the one you don't like. It doesn't work like that. It has to cut right across the board. The one you like, the one you don't like. But again, I always said this: Liberia is a nation of men and women, not a nation of law.
Mr. Sia, two questions. One, we see the movement of legislators from one side to the other. What you think is causing this shift? What are these legislators looking for? What is leading them? What is driving them, the driving force? And second, we're hearing rumors of Kufa's resignation. What if Speaker Kufa resigns today or tomorrow? What happens next? Is it a victory for the Kun faction? Will they hit the reset button and say, okay, let's have a fresh election? Will Thomas Fala take over? Or will it be even more confused than what it is right now?
Let me speak to the movement of people here and there. And
I ask you two questions because you are the political bulldog.
Yeah, I'll take all of them. Then it's the movement of people and the reason behind it. These people are they are actually moving from majority bloc to minority bloc because they are trying to see where the power leadership will take. All right, the leadership of the house, they are trying to see where it will take. And when they are on the side of the house leadership, they will be able to get committees. The lawmakers, they make extra money from the committees that they are on. If you are on a committee, say for foreign affairs, that means you have the privilege now to travel. And when you travel, Dennis, we're talking money here. We're talking very good money. All right. Let's say you are on a committee that is responsible to provide oversight for SOEs. Now you got LPRC, you got the MPA, and all that. So you're providing oversight, and this is how it's done in Liberia. So they are trying to get on the other side where they see the power might take or shift. They want to be in good books with the leadership of the house. That is how they will get what they want. That's the reason. Now, the other part is we're hearing that Funati will resign, and you're trying to find out if Funati resign, what happens? Is there a victory for the Boakun side? Yes, for them, that would be a huge victory. That is all they ever wanted. In fact, it is a fact that they have even encouraged Funati through Bado channels that he should resign. All right. They even what they try to do, because they now remove him from my understanding of the Constitution. So they try to suffocate him politically, that he will be able to resign, just as they did to Tyler and Evan Snow, and they resigned, and then they had a victory. All right. But Franti stood his ground. He said, I'm not going to do it. So whatever way Franti going to get out is a victory for them. It paved the way for them. It gives them what actually they wanted. The speakership of the house, that it must come from Unity Party, and that it must be subservient to the president, then they will be able to get what they want. So yes, they will see that as a huge victory. On the money side, is
before you get to that money, before you get to money, because if he resigned, so with Funati resigning, it also establishes the fact that he's the speaker. So if the speaker resigns, who takes over? The deputy speaker.
The deputy speaker.
Right. So where is Kun in that equation?
And that is why I, who have not been a fan of Funati resigning, I'm saying, Lord, let Funati resign. Because when Funati resign, Thomas follows now, based on the Supreme Court ruling, we say, Lord, I am the legitimate deputy speaker, yes, so I should be taking over for Funati. Where does that leave Kun? Kun is left in the river to swim by himself. But the thing also is that they have already reached a deal with Thomas Farah. Except Thomas Farah is not ready to play political harbor. If he want to play, an obedient pet, as he will always do, and it has been benefiting politically, say, well, I already went to this side. I agreed to be deputy speaker. And according to them, they elected Rachel Kun. Rachel Kun believes that he was duly elected and he is a legitimate speaker. And Thomas Fowler have reason to believe that, whether he's honest about it is another thing. So if he decides to make the argument that, Lord, Supreme Court rule Kufa is the speaker and I was a deputy, so I'm going to succeed him, then he will have another you will have the United Party people to contend with. But if Franti decide to leave, this might be a battle, except where Thomas Fala say, you know what, I'll play obedient fair. Maybe they will keep me as deputy speaker stay, and I'll continue to get what I've been getting. Anywhere you go, Thomas Fala is playing the dirty game here, and he's winning smoothly.
Mr. Duklel, I want you to speak last on this one. This whole political dynamics. Now, CDC, because the CDC lawmakers, including my own representative, District Number 2, Sino County, Samson Weah, who happens to be a family member, is on the majority side. They had a thing, and these are seditions, right? Besides that, people are saying Southeast is for CDC, but there are CDC lawmakers who are on the majority side, right? So why is the politics? Is President or the former president, we are losing control? Is he not able to rein in? Because when they started first, they said, well, it looks like the president or President George Weah is really not in support of Funati. In fact, he is playing, double-handed game here. So with this, with the CDC people still put on the side of the so-called majority, what does it say about the power, the influence of George Weah in the CDC?
I think right now, as things stands, George Weah doesn't have the kind of sway he had before, and I think we all saw the public fallout he had with Thomas Fala, and so right now it does not matter really whether you are a CDC or United Party partisan in the House. There, I think Anthony, what Anthony said, it was just dead on. Right now, everybody in that house is trying to figure out what side they are going to be on so that they don't lose out, because it's the political calculus they are making right now is based entirely on their individual benefits, and so this calculation that they are making is going to be deepened in a way that is going to create a quagmire when Funatu Kopa resigns, because then what's going to happen in this instant is going to raise the ambition of Thomas Fala. I mean, legally speaking, it will be his right. And like Anthony said rightly, if he wants to now play hardball, irrespective of what the minority or the majority will say, it will be his right, at least based on the ruling of the Supreme Court. So your CDC countrymen here, we have a very little to do here other than to seek the gravy wherever it's going to be. Because right now, I think I can speculate on this show tonight that whatever is going on right now, they are trying to determine, and I'm talking about those who are shifting from group to group, they are trying to determine where they want to land without losing out. Because if you miscalculate and you fall on the side of the defeating side, in this case, it's going to be from Konati's side, then you are going to be left out when it comes to committee assignment. And committee assignment is one of the things that influence these people's judgment or their decision. So right now, it's all about their political calculus and where they want to be. And again, they don't want to be on the losing end of this. But again, we heard Speaker Kopa comes out in an emphatic way, says that he's not resigning, even though I for the first time I saw Konatu Kopa being a statesman when the ruling of the Supreme Court came out. He spoke like a rare statesman, and so it's unfortunate that we are here simply because the ruling of the Supreme Court should have put this whole thing to rest once and for all. But unfortunately, we are not used to doing these things, especially when it doesn't go the way we want. So right now, again, like I said, people are trying to juggle around. They want to be on the losing, they want to be on the winning end of this.
Thank you, Francis. Say Thomas Fala cannot be a speaker. If he tries it, he will lose both. Well, he says Thomas Fala will be less Sparta. But Jesse, here's a question for you.
Go ahead.
After the Supreme Court ruling was announced, the so-called minority bloc or the rule of law caucus, they took a victory lap. I mean, they started going from office to office and say, "Hey, your time is over. Get out. It's time for me to sit down." In
Yeah.
fact, the most I don't want to use some term before they hold me in contempt, but Senator Kufa went to conference room and smashed the, he said the man now no more speaker, man, he's not speaker again, right? Where taking the rule of law became the root of law. So I mean, does this hurt your head the same way it does to mine? Because people become so irrational. We saw that when the majority bloc was in charge, they went breaking doors, breaking in cars. Now the other group are reciprocating.
Look, Mr. Ja, it's so all sides is fighting for relevancy right here, right? You remember when before the second interpretation now, the minority side was just waiting for the Supreme Court ruling. And after that ruling, they felt empowered. Like, okay, now they've ruled in our favor. So you saw them going from offices to offices and say, hey, it's our turn now. You give us back our office. But that is not to say, right? For me, Thomas Fala, if he plays his card well, he becomes one of the most powerful person in this whole saga. If he plays his game well, he becomes one of the most powerful person. We are talking about whether Speaker Kufa resigns or not. In my opinion, after the whole coup d'etat against Fonati Kufa, let me call him Speaker Kun, right? The majority speaker. He was not relevant in the first place. It was just a bullet puppet from the president and say, hey, this is the guy I support. But now with Speaker Kun, from what we've all been hearing, that he's going to resign, placed into the majority hands, which for me is still the right way. Resign, and we will go to the rightful thing to do is the elections. But if Thomas Fowler play his card well, he becomes one of the most powerful person. And just to piggyback,
what will playing his card well look like, because he has lost support on the CDC side, and then the people that took him in, now if he try to be that turtle on top of the palm fruit, he's going to be kicked to the curb, and maybe as the person the viewer said, he will lose both.
But that's why I'm saying, look, in politics, there's no permanent enemy. There's moving parts right now behind the scene, and money is speaking, brother Ja. Right now, money is speaking. Guys are crossing carpet. That's why I said if he plays his card well, look, we've all understood. We've understood that Thomas Fala, he was doing some backstabbing to the CDC, but this is a time for him to play it well, play it safe, win your guys back over, because at the end of the day, he still stands to be one of the legal person in the house. After Speaker Kufa, he becomes the next guy in command. I know my brother here is disagreeing with me, but he has the time now to play that leadership role that we all been looking for. Thomas Fala is a good guy, if you ask me. But sometimes,
But has Thomas Fala demonstrated any leadership role? Anyway, you don't have to answer that. But let me.
It's about interest, my brother. At the end of the day, it's all about interest.
There's a release I saw, and I don't know if this is because I didn't see the source, but is from the president. It said, "Dear Honorable Johnson, that Samuel B. Johnson, former senator, I am pleased to inform you of your appointment as legislative liaison of the president to the Liberian Senate.
Yeah,
we trust that you will demonstrate utmost integrity, dedication, and commitment, and continue loyalty to the country in the discharge of your duty." That's another layer being added. And if you, Mr. C, if you look at the Senate, where we heard the so-called light, or that was the long, because when the Supreme Court ruling was coming, they said whatever the Supreme Court said, we're going to abide by it. So when it came, DeLong was one of those who said, that's it, Funati is the leader. Now, and then, of course, you will understand why Nathaniel McGill said, yes, Funati is the leader. But now here's the thing with, I don't know, I didn't verify before coming, I just got this. The appointment of a liaison to the Senate, even though this is more bloated government, because these people take pay. But what do you think the president is trying to accomplish here? You already have the vice president.
Yeah, then there's the communication you're reading there that I've seen also focus on Liberia has now been able to verify whether it is actually from the office of the president. but it carries the president's signature. At this time, I will choose not to speak to it. So I will use the rest of my time to say Thomas Fala, what he can do in this case is to stay with the majority bloc. And if the majority bloc put forth a candidate, he can support that candidate to say, look, I want to be deputy speaker. Should the majority side wins. That's the best he can do, because that's the base he has now. At least they can say they have the majority, at least for now. All right. And if he can get that in his corner, maybe he can go for the deputy speaker position again. But if he decides, say, look, I want to be speaker proper now, I've served as deputy speaker, Honor Fonati and now Honor Kun, so now I want to go to the time the most experienced, then the fight will even be tougher. And this is me reading the political tea leaves here. Musa Berete is only waiting to see Franti out of the way. He will be contesting.
Yeah.
And I think Musa may be able to, put out a fight here where that might minimize what's it called, Tomo Fala's chances, and I think the United Party will also put for somebody from their side, except where the president again says, look, Kun, the resolution here is that Frantin going to resign, you're not going to contest, you're going to have a new election. Then it paves the way for Thomas Fala. And now Thomas Fala can say, look, oh man, I'm pledging full loyalty to you. I'm even joining the United Party. For example, I'm joining the United Party because if anything the president wants, given the way he's operated, he wants a United Party speaker at all costs. When the president wanted a vice president, he had to take somebody from NRD and bring the person to United Party, became what? His vice running mate, and he succeeded today as president. So if he thinks that going with Thomas Fala will give him the United Party speaker he desperately needs, and he will find that in what you call Thomas Fala, the president might, do, but then he has to be able to put in all his political capital and pump the resources to commit the Unity Party and the majority bloc folks that he bang, or bang rolling. But whether or not the president, influence will be strong enough to stop a Unity, a Musa ability, woman maybe snatch some very minority bloc people from there and then become the speaker is something that we hope to see. This is going to be a masterpiece of political game.
And very interesting because we already have a Lofa County problem, right?
Yeah.
There's a Lofa issue.
Yeah.
And so if looking at President Boakai, if President Boakai have to choose between Richard Kun and Thomas Fala for speaker, if we put 2 and 2 together, following the trajectory of this president, will say he might probably go with Thomas Fala.
And remember, Thomas Fala wants back to the king. He kissed the ring. And so
Thomas
he's
Fala
ready with the side.
Is from Lofa. So Lofa all the way. I like how some people put it, we have a Lofa problem here. They were trying to, I think it's the MCSS board of directors, and it was like 95% Lofa. So there's a Lofa problem. I don't know how we're going to deal with it, but there's a Lofa problem. That takes also our next issue here.
Yeah, but Thomas Fala is representing Montserrat County in the House.
No.
Thomas Fala won the election in Foya.
He left Montserrat a long time. This going election, he contested he represented the president's district in the first place.
Yeah. Right. That takes us to Nimba County. And I'm going to start with you, Mr. Boakai Dukle. The Nimba County election played out right before our eyes. The entire country were looking at Nimba. Many people have said where Nimba goes, so the country. I don't think so, but let's keep it at that point for now, for the sake of what I'm going to say. So with Nimba County elections now in the book, and we saw the dancing coca winning. I mean, in my view, he was the least qualified, but he had the government machinery behind him, and so he won. Okay, we didn't hear him say much. He danced his way through. And the other thing we said, dividing money, dancing, and say, well, this is I jumped over the body already, so I have the legitimate claim to this office. In fact, it's for the damn people, and he won. Now, the closest contender is Madam Edith Gonglo Ware. Edith have contested, maybe this was her third time now contesting, and she lost. And one of the criticisms against Edith was, she's not here. She's not one of us. Every time she loses, she goes back to the United States. In time for election, she comes back to run. So with Edith losing, that would tell us that probably the electorate bought into that. My first question is, what's next for Edith Gonglo Ware? And number two, with what went on, the VP campaigned vigorously. Even going to the grave, going to the dead body and asking it for the support of people that are dead in their graves and say, give us direction, we will follow it. Even though you are not here, he did everything. He promoted, he played the tribal card and made it think all about Ma and Dan. What are the implications for 2029? Looking at, and people also said the VP is going to be the one standing, running for 2029. So if we give him the support now, he wins, this will give us a Nimba County president. So with all these, what's next for Edith, and what are the implications for 2029? That's the question I want the three of you to answer, starting with you, Mr. Dukley.
Yeah, I think the final chapter of what you saw unfold in Nimba County, the final chapter is going to be written in 2029. But I think the groundwork is being laid now for a more divisive and, in some cases, I dare say, antagonistic election come 2029. Remember, we knew from the get-go that Koga was the favorite, and the Unity Party machinery plus the vice president were going to make sure that Koga remains the front runner, and he becomes the senator that will represent them on the MDC ticket. And so, but the aftermath of that is going to come to, it's going to bear come 2029, because, and now I think Madam Gonglo Wa has to rethink her options. In other words, she has to now start thinking about her alliances come 2029, because you see, and in all, truthfully speaking, she was outspent on the ground. She was outmatched in terms of resources that were put into Koga's election campaign. Let's not forget that, despite the efforts of Musa Bility. And I think, in my opinion, if anybody was the winner in this election, in my opinion, especially for those who were looking to 2029, I think it's Musa Bility, because when he realized that he was not competitive in the senatorial, by election, he withdrew, even though he didn't say that openly, but we all saw that he did not actually put the resources that were required even to come close second or close third. And so what you saw now, the groundwork has been laid for what to come the next cycle of elections in 2029. And so what they have done, like I said, this is going to come, it's going to be a major part of the next election cycle, this Ma and the down thing that the vice president and his followers are promoted. Because, even though Madam Gongluwa is from a very prominent family in the county, I think that there is some bitterness with the way vice president, and so people say wherever Nimba goes, so goes the country. I think 2029 is going to prove to us that that is not the case, because if you have a fragmented electorate like I expect us to have in Nimba come 2029 because of this just ended by election. Wherever Nimba goes, the country goes, it's not going to come true.
Jesse?
Yeah, so thanks again, by the way. So look, for me, the whole Nimba County thing, it was Jeremiah Kun running against Madam Gonglo. It was Jeremiah Kun. The VP Kun was running against, because personally, Koga, by himself wouldn't have won. There's no way. Koga stood no chance to beat Madam Edith. And what I'm more concerned here is, and I don't want people to just discount, Nimba counting out. Look, Nimba will stand strong in any election, presidential election, in any day. Why I say so? You find VP Kun heavily spending the money behind a candidate. This is him making a statement. And if you ask me, I think he won the day. He won the day at the end of the day. He won the people to himself, and he's making a 2029 statement that, look, this is not about any godfather now. I am the legitimate godfather now, whether it's Koga, but VP Kun has made a statement. And it should worry any opposition right now. Even the sitting president, it should worry him.
But does that alienate other counties from supporting Kun?
I won't say yes or no, but we are looking at what he's
hard. That's why.
Come again? What is that?
I said because my question hard.
Oh, the question hard? No, I'm just saying that this Nimba County election was just VP Kun trying to make a statement. Who is to be feared right now? Who is to be recognized as the political godfather? That Kun. Koga is just representing, but it's Kun. And 2029, for me personally, I think it was a mistake from the CDC side. Having put your support behind one candidate to say we support this person, but you are trying to water by 3 ways. That play a major factor for me personally, into Madam Kun losing this election. Because when you look at Madam Gogre, when you look at the margin that Koga won with, it's not even much. So she still stands politically, she is still relevant in her, in Nimba. But I'm looking at the VP to make a strong statement for 2029. And if you ask me, CDC ought to be concerned right now.
Thank you. Mr. Sia, every time we see election, we're talking about the opposition should unite. It was very clear that the government was behind Koga. And so we have state resources because we saw the vice presidential motorcade going there. We saw Koga dividing money. So even with that, looking at the machinery that they were going against, still they decided to go fragmented. In fact, Madame Gonglo went as independent. You have Jefferson Yelu, you have Mark Blenwen, and so on and so forth. If they couldn't unite to go against Koga, we will see the same thing maybe repeating itself during the presidential election. If you have already CDC versus Unity Party, that has been the pattern since 2025. So if people want Unity Party out or if they want to prevent CDC, there should be a coalition or opposition coalescing, one candidate to win. Is that the message where we're trying to see? And we saw a dancing candidate who said nothing winning. Is that the same thing we're going to see 2029?
Then the potential is there, except where the variables do change. But that potential is there. Look, if you look at most of the candidates that have been winning in Liberia, these are candidates that said nothing. These are candidates that had no vision. But at the same time, these are candidates that have a way of resonating with the voters in their majority. Now, we saw Koga. That man has no accomplishment that he had to articulate. Those who supported him never articulated his legislative accomplishment. They never did so. All they told us that, hey, that man is loyal. He will be on the side of the government in terms of its agenda. So we need that man to be the senator of Nimba County. And then the vice president, as we say, also injected himself. You asked a very tough question. The way Vice President Kuna is projecting himself politically, and, injecting himself in Nimba politics heavily, even, for his tribal group, trying to use it as a winning variable. Would that alienate him on a national level? That is a huge possibility because if you are seeing that look, I'm all Nimba, I'm all Nimba. Let's look at Prince Johnson. I don't know. Prince Johnson was popular in Nimba. He did well in Nimba. He won the majority vote in Nimba. But that was not enough at all, to getting across on the national level. So he was all Nimba, all popular Nimba. And because on the presidential level, other candidates needed Nimba, they had to go to him because he had a key to Nimba votes. So maybe Kun can become that. All right, and he can become that, but on the national level, he has to play differently, and the way he's doing it now, except where his strategy here is, look, I want to establish my base because they criticize Cummings did not have a base, and in politics, that's an important element to look for. You must have your base. Like President Weah has a base. President Joseph Boakai. Now, he had his base, he has his base, the Unity Party, Lofa County. He won Lofa County in the first election he participated in. He won Lofa County again. That is a base and his political party. Now, Kun looking at that, look, I need to have a county that is my base, and that is Nimba County. He's trying to cement that. Now, why is he going to add to Nimba? And how he's going to add that to Nimba is what is left to be seen. Now, is he going to go with Unity Party? Will Unity Party agree to go with him? If Mr. Boakai is, or President Boakai is not in the picture, will Unity Party be saying, look, we have Jeremiah Kun, has new recognition, let us not read Event Lewis, let's put him forth? Or do we see a Gafuan coming? Or do we see somebody from the ranks of the Unity Party coming and say, look, that man is an alien in the party, he came from NDR, there was a special arrangement, we needed to be president, so we brought in here, I'm putting a challenge. And when that happens, will any sort person beat him in a primary in the Unity Party? So the variables will tell whether or not what he's doing will alienate him, and also whether or not he will be a candidate in the national election who can put on the 5 to President Weah. In my estimation, the way the Unity Party and Kun trading right now, they are just making the thing to look like a walk in the park for the CDC.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are live on Kia Radio FM 95.9 in Monrovia, and also live on all your major social media platforms. Mr. Douglas, you have something on the tip of your tongue. Say it quickly, and then we move.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think you touched on a little bit, and Brother Anthony just highlighted it. This is going to remain a fragmented electorate, and the only issue that I can see all the Nimbayan coalescing around would be they wanted to see vice president being the next president. Other than that, everything and Koga doesn't have the charisma, the ability to unify the people of Nimba like Prince Johnson did. Absolutely not. And so what you saw in the by-election, whenever the electorate was fragmented, I expect to see that come 2029.
And Koga already said those who went against him in the by-election is going to fight them.
That's right.
Make sure they don't come back in the house, and you could see direct references to Musa Belete and others. Well, something just appeared, an alert came to me that says, quoting Sandro Johnson, he said, beginning now, anyone who sits on platform or in the gathering and insult President Boakai, I will insult you and the people supporting you. I don't want you to answer this, but are we coming to a place where we can criminalize insult, even if it is a misdemeanor, right? Especially insult against women, because we only talk about African values when it comes to gay and lesbianism. But when it comes to people standing up in the street and insulting women, that is not African value. People will say press freedom, but can we customize our democracy to criminalize something like that that does not reflect who we are as African people? Think about that, and see you tomorrow on Friday Night Debate. We're going to bring that in as well. Let me move to my last point before we bring in the callers is protest on LU campus all the time. And this time, the university president has taken a stand. He said, you're going to go out. Also, one time I remember, I think it was 2002 or somewhere there, 1992 or somewhere there, when some people entered the university illegally. And so the president said those people came through the back door and we're going to put them out through the front door. They kick all of them out. So we are saying now that the inspector, Commerce Ministry, Dorr Cooper, through fraud, acquired a degree. He went for commencement to school that he never attended. Now that was a fraud. He's being investigated. The degree, he's being banned from that school, and also people that were the accomplices to give him that degree suspended or fired. President Mapanya is taking a stand. But I'm not sure if Dorr Cooper is still on the job or he's being fired now. I don't know what the president is going to do. Mr. Kromah, the demonstration and these protests on the University of Liberia campus, do you think the suspension or the expulsion of these students finally answer that question? Or are we going to see more of those protests? Because anytime, if you don't deal with the root of the problem, you see it coming back. Also, will President Bouaka also act when it comes to Dorr Cooper losing his job or facing some criminal persecution?
Look, Mr. Ja, first of all, I think you will see more protests by these students, right? President Bouaka has not been the president for the side of the law, because this whole fraud thing didn't just start today. It started when that guy came up with that fraudulent degree. Noise, all platform, all radio stations in Liberia carried it. Bouaka kept the man. Now with the students saying what they're saying and protesting, I think this is first of its kind, but you will see many more protests coming. President Bouaka has not been the president to speak out on these kind of things. Better yet, he's been on the opposite side of the law. So for me, the students, I think you just re-energize them to do more of these things, and there's more of it to come. Yeah.
Mr. C.
Dennis, you cannot stop protests on the campuses of the University of Liberia. If you want to do so, then you will not have peace on that campus. Then that particular administration will get very unpopular. And you might have to resort to force, which will give your administration a terrible name. And you don't want that. I feel that the way to solve this problem of consistent protests on the campuses of the University of Liberia is to engage the students and address the students' needs and concerns, period. And then you can encourage them to engage in civil debate, intellectual debate on that very campus. That's all you can do. You have to guide them to make their activities much more productive, engaging, and violence-free. The things that these students are asking for are the very things students in other institutions, in other countries have. So they have right to do things. Now, look at the budget of the University of Liberia. The university budget is yet to reach 40 million United States dollars. You think 36 million can run the University of Liberia? That is a drop in the bucket. We're spending more than that on legislators. You know how many students we're talking about here? You know how many campuses we're talking about here? So we're spending more money on lawmakers who are now up to 2,000 persons, and we are spending less money on a student population that far exceeds about 10,000. That has about 2 campuses to my knowledge, and in terrible shape, and you are spending very less. So in as much as the issue remain on the campuses of the university and the students are not happy, look at the bathrooms, look at the classrooms, look at all the facilities, the learning environment. The student will always have reason to voice out. The things that the student have been crying about, those things still exist. And in as much as those things exist, you cannot use violence to silence them, and it will not work. I mean, Dorr try A, he did not succeed. Taylor try A, he is not succeed. You think you are brutal? Is that why you're trying to tell that you can be brutal more than Dorr? Is that the logic? Look, the current president of the University of Liberia, she actually has balls. All right. And Dennis, I know I see your eyes
What's your
rolling there.
language? What's your language?
To actually go for that job, because she definitely, to succeed, she will need the resources. And that is the biggest problem of all. If you give the woman the money, that university should be receiving at least 100 million every year to have successful operation on that campus. In as much as that is not happening, it doesn't matter who you send there. There will be problem, and this problem will continue. Stopping the children from protesting is not your solution. No.
Mr. Dukle, President Samuel Canyon Dorr is famous for move or be removed. Right? And this was the time that the president sent his general, Great Dio Allison, on the university campus. And he's being heavily criticized. In fact, one of the things that earned him the name of a dictator is that very directive. Now the university campus seems to be the next barracks of the police force.
Yeah.
And people that criticize Doe heavily for being dictatorial are now cheering for this clampdown on the university campus. Do we have people now talking from both sides of their mouth? And let me call out former student leaders, Anthony Voodoo Kaseli, student leader Kofi Woos, student leader Gafuan. Even we can extend it to student leader Dupe Kresnian, student leader Alare Topa. Where is this "do move or be removed" mantra? And now you are the one cheering or remaining silent when we see brutality on the campuses of the university.
Well, now then the shoe is on the other foot. And before I even go further, I just want to tell you that I actually watched the full interview you and your co-host had with the new president, Dr. Mapayan. And I thought in that interview, in that program, she clearly said that before I even go further, I just want to tell you that I actually watched the full. Dennis has gone up, and I'm having an echo. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah. So, and in that interview, Dr. Mapayan said, "Listen, the students, when they demonstrate, she feels that they are right. She feels that their concerns are legitimate concerns, and the only problem that she had was that the fact that they always want things done within a certain time frame when those time frames are not realistic. That was the concern that she raised. But like Brother Anthony said rightly, you're talking about an institution of 18,000, almost close to 20,000 students. That's the largest university in the country. And, look at how much money we are spending on less than 500 people in the legislature. And for an institution that has close to 20,000 students, you have only $40 million? Are you really serious? And you expect to have the kind of outcome that everybody else would expect? So listen, these students are within their right to demonstrate. And people who are now calling for heavy-handedness must think twice. Because, like you said right there, Dennis, this issue of Samuel Ketu asking Grady Allison to let the military move in, as of today, we are still living the repercussion of that, the aftermath of that particular incident in 1984. And so those who are calling for heavy-handedness, they should better be careful what they are asking for, because this is not going to remain like this. Things are going to turn around. And so, and the issues that are plaguing this university, they are not new. They are not new. They are all been in existence since I know the university existed. And so the only way they can make a significant dent in some of these issues is to fund the university properly. you know. And when I was reading the story about Doc Cooper, uh, he's alleged to have spent about 10,000 United States dollars in this entire scheme. I mean, look, those people that were his accomplices, they are people who are broke. There are people who need money. There are people who have issues, and I'm not in any way justifying their actions. But I'm simply saying here how somebody with ulterior motive like Don Cooper can influence good, well-intentioned, people who are working in places where, you know, 2 3 months they don't get paid. And so the enticing environment exists for somebody with bad intention like Joe Cooper to go in there and bribe people and do all the things that he did. So $10,000 is not small money. I mean by any means. And so and that's some of the reason why and these things are deeply rooted in every sector of that university. You know, this just happened to be the one that was uncovered, but there are many other more if you look further. And so I really feel for Dr. Mapayan because look, Dr. Mapayan comes from the United States. The environment in the United States at the post secondary institutions, they are not anywhere near where she found herself. And I just don't know how long she's going to be supported by the power that be, because if their interest is not being served, trust me, they will turn their back on her in a heartbeat. So I don't think dealing with the student with heavy-handedness is the right way to go. I think the appropriate way to deal with them is to listen to their grievances and see how well those grievances can be addressed in a non-violent way. Because with the way people are trying to let the police come in, it's not going to resolve the issue. The problem is not going to go away. So it's not going to be long. We're going to find ourselves to the same old place that we are trying not to be. So I don't think it would be ill-advised for Joseph Walker to now learn the lesson of the past regime that have tried heavy-handedness in dealing with the University of Liberia students.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Focus on Liberia Live on Kia Radio 95.9. If you want to be part of the conversation, please call the number on the screen, 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Now, let me welcome my colleague, George, in studio at Kia Radio to announce the numbers.
Okay, for let me say good evening again, wherever you are on the lovely Thursday evening like this in Central Monrovia, and you are listening to the program Focus on Liberia on Care Radio 95.9. The numbers to call and be a part on the show 0777-959-959. Those are using orange, and the Lone Star number is 0881-871-670. The Lone Star number 0881-871-670, and the orange number 0777-959-959. These are the numbers to call and be a part on the show. So the thing is, again, that's the number from your end too.
Right, those are the numbers. We have a caller already on the line, but before we bring in that caller,
let me just wait there. I have a caller from my end.
Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you? My name is Richard Greer, and I'm calling from Barnaville, Palm Hill.
Welcome to the program, Richie.
Thank you very much. There are a lot of topics you guys touch on. And look, I definitely agree with a lot of things that you people have been discussing here regarding the spark out of the 55th National Legislature, especially the lower house. And the game that is being played is somehow very much terrible for our country because it has a propensity of violating the Constitution somehow. But we hope that the Kufa and his group will also continue to persist so that this thing will not be repeated in the country, because it violates the Constitution and it also do not have the due process. So what the Councillor Kufa is doing, not that we are backing because he's being persistent, but I think there are some of us who are actually looking at the rule of law. So some of us knew the now speaker personally. we do not support that idea that he should take over. Coming to the election in Nimba County, I think the people of Nimba County have done the right thing. They have elected someone who they think can lead the country. But what I would just like to say to the good loser, my own sister, Edel Ganglu Way, I want to congratulate her because she has done what a real democratic person would do.
Okay.
When people make an choice of their side that they want to take, the best thing to do is to concede and also to congratulate the people. Yeah. So thank you very much. I think I've stayed long, and I think they want to cut me off.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you.
Okay, my brother.
And thank you, Mr. Greer. Mr. Greer is my colleague from a long time from Ghana and from the agriculture department of AHED. Good to hear from you, Mr. Greer. Mr. Williamson, you keep going in and out on the so please stay on so we can bring you in. George, any more caller?
Don't go for my end. So take your calls so I can announce the number once again.
Yeah, go ahead and announce the numbers.
Okay, so the numbers to call and be a part on the show 077-959-959 and the Lone Star number 0881-871-670. These are the numbers to call and be a part on the show.
Thank you. Let me twist in this one, which is the EPS warning. The EPS has a release that hey, when you want to cause trouble and we're protecting you, we're going to withdraw EPS protection from you because you want to talk BB talk. Jesse, who the EPS talking to? You know,
Mr. Ja, who are the two people? Look, you only have two people right now that's enjoying EPS security, which is the former vice president and the former president. Who else can he be talking to, right? These are the only two people.
Okay.
These are the only two people he will be talking to. And for him to have come up to say what he said, then it's quite unfortunate, taking the woman's right, security right from her because she spoke out. Then can we go back to President Boakai, former President Boakai, who was the VP at the time, former VP at the time, in a campaign rally saying that, if he don't win, then there will be no more Liberia. George, we are taking EPS security from him at the time. I mean, it's quite unfortunate for us because, for a leader to be speaking that way. I think the vice president was not inciting any kind of violence. She spoke out. But to go ahead and start threatening taking your security, it's quite unfortunate to be doing that at this time, But one thing I can say, look, man, with the kind of voices that these people command, I think the Boakai-led government needs to be careful on how they issue out threats, especially to this former, vice president or President George Weah. Tomorrow, former VP, Taylor could decide to get out there with no security. Liberian people would decide to guide her. These are people that still command, a lot of people. So it's quite unfortunate to just come up and say, if you speak out, then we all know he was talking to her. Whether he was talking to somebody, it's her he was speaking to. And you can't be speaking that way,
And these people are former legislators, right? They have in their law that even when they die, they still get money. So I think they can afford their own security.
But it's even by the law that they still maintain the security regardless of what they do. But if you have problem with what she says, go to the law. Go to the law.
Mr. Dugley, I'm not trying to ask you as a lawyer here, but does the EPS director has the right to withdraw or not withdraw, or would that directive come from the president? Or
That was
speaking in tandem?
That was just an irresponsible order there. But I don't know if you guys read there was actually a specific mention of former vice president. So it wasn't ambiguous. They were talking about her. It was because of what she said, and they actually referenced what she said, her statement, and they said she's trying to incite violence. Look, this is her right that is enshrined in their own regulation, and so what they are trying to threaten her with. But again, when you look at this whole thing, shouldn't even we shouldn't even be discussing it the way we are discussing it right now, because this is her right. First of all, as a former vice president, and also as former legislature. Before all of this, she was complaining that she had been asking them to get her benefits as former vice president. She said she has not been getting that. The only benefit she's been getting is her benefit as former legislature. And so she says she wrote all the appropriate people that she's supposed to write, and nobody, she seems to be getting nowhere. And so now they're trying to pile on her. I'm not a fan of former vice president. She has, when she was president, vice president, she did made a lot of inflammatory statements that had the propensity to lead to violence. And so, but in all fairness to her, these are things that she is legally entitled to. So, and if anybody wants to take away all these things, they should go to the law. They should take her to court. Let the court decide if she deserves them or not. But it's not to the whim of any particular individual to grant her these things or to withdraw these things. No.
Thank you.
Can you hear you, Mr. Dennis?
The colors keep hanging up. So, all right.
Okay.
Mr. Sia, the EPS.
Yeah, then it's the EPS statement. I don't know whether the EPS chief can issue a statement like that. I don't know whether it's with him is right, because I think the EPA is the Executive Protection Service, and it falls directly under the president. So the president is charged to provide security in the country. So this is EPS that is responsible to provide security for, very important people in Liberia. So if he is threatening to withdraw security details from some former government officials because of their political statements, is that really, was a statement approved by the president? Did the president know about it? If the president does not know about it, does he have anything to say now that I'm sure he might have heard about it because everybody talking about it? Is the president going to do anything about it? That you have an EPA chief who is threatening to pull security from former senior officials, all because of their political statement. Look, Mr. Dukley said that in their statement they made, direct reference to Joel Howard Taylor. I have chosen to not be her fan. I will never be her fan, and there's no any reason for anybody to be a fan of this woman. All right. They continue to play us here. She continued to play the people of Liberia. For her to be crying, even wolf here, that she have not taken pay. Does she even care to advocate for people who have not taken pay? How many percent did she advocate for at the time CDC was in power when she was vice president that were not taking pay? Did she advocate for anything? At one point, Dennis, CDC threatened health professionals, especially JFK, that if they don't go back to work, if they want to protest, they will have no job. Most of the nurses were women. You and Howard Taylor did not say a thing.
Mr. Sia, let me bring in a caller from.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, caller, your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, hello. This is Wanda Freeman calling from Minnesota.
Okay, Senior Counsel, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, regarding the situation in the house there, I think the ball is in the court of the people of Liberia. If they don't take a strong position against the politician, and when I say politician, I mean all of them, whether it is Fonati Kufa or Kun or Thomas Fala, None of those people are in the interest of the Liberian people. They have to take a very strong position for them to resolve the conflict. For example, Fonaki is presenting himself as a law and order person. You know, they call it a rule of law. But the very Fonaki was there in our house when $20 million was squandered at public works. The public works minister apologized. Fonaki was speaker, and Fonaki accepted the apology, knowing that as a lawyer, when somebody corrupt $20 million, that person should be investigated and prosecuted. Fonaki was in our house when the budget was criminally changed. And Fonaki decided to keep that information secretly along with other people. Fonaki was in our house when all the other corrupt activity, including the central bank audit, when George Weah and his partners stole up to $200 million. And Fonaki then decided to do nothing. But they say they are rule of law person. So I don't believe any of them is in the interest of the Liberian people. I just think at this point the citizens need to move and move very strongly and ask the leaders to get their house in order. Now, regarding the issue with respect to withdrawal of security and all of that, it's the same lawlessness we are talking about, right? You know, Waka then were in opposition, and PDC was a very violent party attacking everybody. Up to today, not a single person has been brought to justice. But yet they say they are ready for rule of law. So they have just replaced CDC by carrying out the same illegality that CDC was carrying out. That's why I feel that the Liberian people need to take action. Or if they don't take action, if they are waiting for these two groups to do something better, I'm telling you, they are not any better. They're not going to do anything better. You know, so I will let one last thing.
But before you go to that last thing, what action are you talking about?
Like, for example, if they see that these people, they can demonstrate, they can go to that Capitol building, they can stay there and surround it and insist that they must resolve that issue or else they're not leaving. They have done it in other places. It's been done in Burkina Faso when Blaise Compaoré was told to leave. It's been done in the Philippines. It's been done in Zimbabwe. It's been done in so many other countries. The people take to the street and they stay there until the leaders put their house in order. The last thing I want to say is that Comics and ANC, they're not strategic. George Weah and other people damage that country. Damage it to the last level. Under no circumstance should they go into George Weah or a collaboration to say, let's talk about rule of law, let's talk about this and that. Because the George Weah party, the CEC, they're not opening their mouth and talk about rule of law and talk about anything. So what's the point in going in collaboration and the issue of statement and talk about rule of law? As far as I'm concerned, he disgraced himself. As we speak, he paid out hundreds of millions of dollars of the Liberian money in his pocket. He built condos for himself. He built a city for his wife. And he built playground for the Liberian people. So what's the point in going in collaboration with such a man? He's a win.
Right. I mean,
so let me end on that note.
Thank you. They say politics make on easy bedfellows. Let me welcome my namesake, Mr. Dennis Coty. Go ahead, Mr. Coty, you're live.
Hello to all the panels on the show, and I thank all of you for all the efforts you're making. I got a little bit interested in calling when following I heard of the Nimba County by-elections. My take on that whole thing that's going on with the vice president's efforts to get Kufa in all the things, it was just a big politics that was played, but the bad part about it that I think is going to harm him is the travel car in the travel politics in Nimba County. You cannot force that to on the national body politics. That is going to really gave him tough time. When did they get to know that the doctrine of maybe the majority tribes in Nimba County have to have at least each side on it in the Senate when President Johnson was there, and at the same time, Groupie was there, Thomas Groupie, and right after Thomas Groupie again, the same Jeremiah Kuhn was also there. This, anyway, is Nimba politics. I can't dwell into it that much, but that godfathership that they play with in Nimba County, when every county decide to do that, is going to really hurt us. So I don't think that idea is actually going to be welcomed by the Liberian people. But we are all sitting to watch how 2029 is going to play in with that kind of politics. But what are the strategy I see him playing so far is that, okay, he feels that Lufa County will be on his side. But then I'm overhearing that Bone County is trying, he's going to choose somebody from Bone County. I don't want to call name. And this person is making all efforts also to have some influence on Bone County. So that is the game that I see them playing from the Unity Party side. So, but we are all watching to see how it's going to play in 2029 if he is going to run to succeed the president. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kote. All right, we have 7 minutes to close. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Goa, do we still have callers? And then, if not, we can close.
No calls yet. From
All
my
right,
end.
let's go around the room so we can draw down the curtain. Mr. Kruma, Mr. Dukley, and then Mr. Sie.
Let me just say thanks to our viewers and listeners here. Thank you again for affording me the opportunity. You know, I always say, whenever we have this opportunity to speak on Liberia's issue, for me personally, it's because we want the best for Mama Liberia. Otherwise, I won't be spending all this time here just, we want the best. We are cautioning, we are also calling on the president. Let he be law abiding. The only office we can run to in terms of any kind of calamity in our country is the court. Let us respect the courts. Let us show lead by example, Mr. President. I don't think he's been showing example to Liberians by disrespecting the judiciary. I think if he wants to enjoy his presidency, let him start by respecting the rule of law, and then his subordinates will follow suit. And I'm always here, Brother Jah. Thanks for the opportunity again, and I can't wait to be here next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dukley. Cody.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Dennis, for the show, and thanks to my fellow panelists, the political bulldog and Brother Kruma. Dennis, this is, as much as anyone would say whatever they want to say, coming up on these shows, they are extremely helpful and educating our people. This is a meaningful contribution that we are making, and it is our responsibility to hold the power that be, to hold our feet to the fire. I mean, how else are we supposed to do it? People might not realize, but we do represent a lot of people who might not have the opportunity to be heard. And so it is the duty of any patriotic Liberian to try to speak up whenever they can. And I think that's what we are doing. I dare say it is a national duty for all of us, whether we are in Liberia or we are in the diaspora. It is our national duty. And I think it is meaningfully contributing to the consciousness of our compatriots, and these issues that we are discussing here, they are the ones that are drawing us back. These are the issues that are holding us back, and so whenever we come here, we see it and we deem it necessary to speak up. I mean, that's how else are we expect things to change if we don't speak up? And so I just hope that somebody somewhere is listening and is taking heed to all the criticism we are, and I think we are all objectives in our criticism. We are not just criticizing, but we are also suggesting the way forward. And so they are getting free counsel from us. They are getting a lot of ideas if they care to listen and implement them. So all what we saw, ranging from the by-election in Nimba County, the EPS threat, and all the things that we talk about, I think it is our responsibility to talk about them the way we do.
Thank you. Indeed, to talk about them the way we do. Even God talked and brought the world into being. So I always love to talk. Our colleague here, Eleanor Davis, said, that's the reason we told you the old man can lead the country, and you voted him in power. You enjoy your Liberian freedom. Eleanor, she's right here with me in Metro Atlanta.
Dennis, I'll close.
And you could hear comments all over her voice.
I will close on two issues here quickly. Number one, I disagree with the president on his decision to go with quorum.
Because let me interrupt you, because a quorum, and I like one soup militant said, the quorum comes about as a result of legality. So if the group is illegal, how can that be quorum? That's right. It's just like if all got together, 50 of us, can we be quorum?
Yeah.
No, because we are not lawmakers.
In the president, we are quorum.
Yeah, but that's the same analogy, but the way I was going. Can come today and create quorum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the saying, when it is not legal, it's not good at all. I think that's the saying, or something close to that line. So if the group here is not legal because it has a leader, which is the Kong, if he's not a legitimate speaker, then I don't know. But I disagree with the president, because the precedent the president is setting is that, let's say somebody say, well, I want to be speaker, and you put majority together, the president will go there. Maybe a week after another group gets quorum, the president goes there. Yeah. I don't think that's how he wants to govern the country. It might be politically expedient now, but I don't think that is the solution to them. The last thing is the Nimba thing. The government put a weight behind Koga, and the opposition got divided. Mm-hmm. Now, during the time of President we are in power, when Darius Dillon was running, nearly all the opposition together behind Darius Dillon, and they won with Dillon twice in CDC stronghold, Monserrato County. Maybe the outcome would have been different if all the opposition political party had put together to put their weight behind Ide or any other person, but Ide, I believe, was a better choice, because she has been contesting that she has new recognition. I mean, given the way she performed, if they have put their weight behind her, more than likely, maybe because I didn't see most of the political leaders, going there to even campaign for her in the first place. In Dillon's case, most of them campaigned for him, and he won. It's a lesson for them. I think if they want to do this thing called opposition, they have to, go with the weight of unity. I think the discussion was very, very healthy.
Healthy indeed. Let me hear from Josh, our man in studio in Kia Radio Land. Josh, what are you going to close with?
It's good to be here this evening. Hope to join the team here on Saturday for a fresh edition of the program Focus on Liberia on Care Radio 95.9.
Thank you. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Those who call in, those who commented, and even those who will watch later. Always focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Until then, we close with a song that says, whether you support Koga or Ide, whether you support the rule of law of the majority caucus, whatever you are, whether you support Traore or you stand with me in solidarity or not, we are all Liberians. Let's do our very best to make our country the glorious land of liberty. Thank you and good night.
We are Liberians.